Actually instead wanted to take a little bit more of a, I guess you could say, humorous look at it and break the ice first. I kind of came up with the idea in a shower of a top 10 list of some silver isms and YouTube isms, right? And the whole point was I had an exchange with one of my longtime subs who was extremely frustrated that, you know, he bought silver yet again and the price went down immediately after. And, you know, he was very unhappy with it, and he was getting frustrated. He was at the end of his rope. So he emailed me out of frustration, and I had a conversation with him back and forth. You know, and the thing is, don't feel bad if you feel that way, because I've had that conversation many times, trust me. People get frustrated with these extreme price moves, especially when they go against them. And you know, one thing that I told him, and I would tell you the same thing, you know, whoever you are that's listening, you know, I'm not going to say stay the course, or, you know, you got to hang in there and keep buying, because honestly, it's none of my business what you do with your money. Okay? And you know, one thing that my sub said was, well, you probably don't care, but he's wrong about that. I do care. You know, I want to see you guys doing well. I mean, I kind of envision a scenario where, you know, a few years down the road, where, you know, by getting our financial act together, by keep plugging away at it, that we're in much better shape than we are today. That's just kind of, and in all honesty, if, you know, I remember Gold, Silver, Platinum sold all of his precious metals and bought real estate. I was happy as can be for him. Okay, I hope that real estate works out for him. And now a few months later, he's dipping his toe back into metals. You know, I'm not gonna. I remember when what was Stella Concepts, when he sold his metals, everybody felt betrayed and they were angry at him. There's not gonna be any of that. If you guys sell your metals, you sell your metals. If you take a profit, if you decide it's not for you, I mean, that's okay. I mean, it's silly that people felt so angry at him. And, you know, if somebody down the road is able to profit from this and do well and find a better opportunity, hey, I'll be tipping my hat all day long to you. But anyway, the whole point is that a lot of you, and I'm going to make some statements here, and I realize it doesn't apply to everybody, but a lot of you are either investing money for the first time or saving for the first time in earnest. And the last thing that you want to see is the value of your investment going down before your eyes. You know, and silver is just so volatile, guys. I mean, just by the sheer probability of it, there are going to be times where you put your money into it and it's just going to take a nice big hit. It's just the way it is. I remember there was a time when I was sitting there, and I think it was a kilo I was buying, and it was a Friday, and it was quiet as can be. The market was steady as she goes, and I saw this coin, and I was like, you know what? Now's a good time to buy. I came back, and silver had taken it on the chin, like 5 or 6%. I'm like, really? You know, of course, if I had waited till after my meeting, you mean I would have saved 5 or 6%? The one thing that I've really stressed to myself going into this, recognizing how volatile it is that I was going to remove the euphoria from an awesome move, right? You know, you buy some silver and it shoots up. I wanted to remove the euphoria from the good decisions and being despondent from the bad decisions, okay? I basically have tried to remove as much emotion from this as I can, because I know that going through the process of buying silver and trying to accumulate as much as I can, I know that there are going to be extreme ups and downs. It's unavoidable. You know, if this was a stock, if silver was a stock, you know, you'd be getting whipsawed all the time. You know, I think about like Green Mountain Coffee Roasters, a local company, and that stock soared up over 100, and you know, everybody was cheering, and then it went down to like, I think 18. Just a year ago it was down to 18. Now it's back up to 80. It's extremely volatile, and if you want to play or invest in something that's extremely volatile, at some point you're going to lose, and those losses sometimes are going to hurt a lot more than the gains feel good. That's just the very nature of it. That's like the psychology behind it. You know, if you talk to like a problem gambler, and I'm not equating buying silver with gambling. I'm equating the emotions of winning and losing. But you get to a point where the losses stay with you and hurt, and the gains don't even feel good anymore. Okay? You know, the losses just really, really hurt. And there are going to be losses. You know, there are going to be times where this is sitting in my stack, and we always say, measure your wealth in ounces. I know it's hard to do. It's really hard to do. And people will say something like, no, I just checked my silver. It's still there. Yes, it is. But it's very difficult for some people to separate the two. Okay? And just please know that, yeah, there are going to be times when you win and when you lose, if you want to think about it in black and white terms like that. But think about the end game. Now, something that he said at the end, because I think I made him feel a little bit better from my conversation with him. You know, and I basically said something similar to this, I think. But one thing that he ended up conceding is, you know, the whole point of him investing in silver was to kind of get his financial life in order, and then he was saving for the first time in his life, okay? And one thing that he conceded was, you know what, if I had never gone through this process of getting my financial house in order and actually saving, I would be doing the same thing that I was doing before. So at least I have some metal to show for my work, and I'm better off than if I never did anything. Okay? So that's a key point. So, you know, to my sub and that I had this conversation with, and anybody else who may be feeling frustrations from, I click submit and the price of silver goes right down. I mean, everybody goes through that. You know, I've talked about my dad in the past, and he was honestly the world's worst stock investor. He was awful. And the reason that he was awful is the only time that he would buy, that he would put his retirement money in the market, was literally when everybody he worked with was doing Yahoo. I just crossed 100,000. I just crossed $500,000 in my retirement account because, you know, the market was at a high. And that is when he'd put his money in every single time. You know, I mean, if you can get disciplined and you can time this market, then you're a better man than me. Okay, Dennis Gartman, and I know that some of you are probably going to have a negative opinion of him, but I saw him on CNBC and he simply said, silver, too volatile for me. I don't trade it. Okay? If Dennis Gartman says it's too volatile for him and he doesn't trade it because of that, what is a schmuck like me going to do thinking that I can time this market? I can't. I admitted that from day one. I admit that today, and I don't even try. I don't even try. That doesn't mean buy at any price. That's not what I'm saying. But, you know, obviously if there's a parabolic spike, I'm not going to buy into that. Okay? And I'm very comfortable buying a huge drop. I just am. If silver goes on sale and has the stuffing knocked out of it, I'm much happier to buy that than, you can't catch a falling knife. Well, you know what? I'm very happy to buy when the price is falling as long as the premiums follow suit. What I don't like is when the price falls and the premiums expand, because then you get the worst of both worlds, right? So, you know, am I rambling here a little bit? So the other piece that I wanted to talk about is I had asked you how you were doing on your goals. And a lot of people said, great, you know, I made my numbers. And a few people actually felt pretty bad because they hadn't met their goals for the year. They stumbled and they're kind of beating themselves up a little bit. And let me just say that I completely understand that. You know, you set the bar for yourself. I mean, nobody's harder on ourselves than we are, right? We're our own worst critics. And when you do something like you set a goal, what's the psychology behind failing to meet it? And, you know, we always talk about the positive piece, but there's a negative piece here as well. You know, I didn't meet my goal. I failed at it. And all I would tell you is that it's the same principle applies to what my sub ended up saying. You're better off by setting the bar high for yourself and working to reach it. The net result is better than if you did nothing at all. Okay, if you never set a goal for yourself, if you never tried to work towards it, you would have ended up with a fewer net ounces than if you set the bar for yourself and work towards it. So even though you didn't meet your goal, even though life happened this year and then something caused you to stumble, maybe you had to get a new car, maybe you had a health issue, those would have happened anyway. The fact that you set that goal for yourself and you were working towards it puts you in a better position. And you know what? Maybe next year you can make up some ground. We're coming up on the end of the year and we'll be reviewing what we've done for the year. And, maybe the net result will be a positive. So anyway, that's kind of my my take on poorly timed silver buys. That was the whole point of the top 10 list. I just wanted to take a humorous look at it first because I know it bothers some of you guys, and I know that meeting your goals doesn't really bother some of you. I hear about it in PMs, and there's not a lot I can say other than to offer words of encouragement. And if you decide that the volatility swings aren't for you, well, that's understandable too. I get it. If this was a stock, a lot of people would have been shaken out a long time ago because you don't like seeing the value of your investment swinging wildly all over the place. There's not a nice, easy, steady eddy correlation to inflation here. If you're looking for price stability, this really isn't, where you should be putting your money, because you're not going to find it here. You're going to find wild swings. But, the positives so dramatically for me outweigh the negatives. It just makes sense to keep going. But I understand that some people aren't going to feel that way. And you see it too, right? Go back to an older video. Go back to a video from a year ago and start looking at the names on that video. They're going to seem really different. You're going to see a lot of different names on there. And you'll see some familiar faces that have stayed the course and continued right along. But you're going to see a lot of people that are long gone, So, all right, guys. I'll talk to you later.